7 on Newstalk Breakfast with Paul Williams and Shane Coleman. I want to talk about Michael Lowry now, who will walk back into the Dáil today, as he said himself, or as he put it himself, a free man after he was handed a fine of 25,000 for tax offences. But should the government rely on Michael Lowry for support after his conviction? Joining us to discuss this is People Before Profit TD Brid Smith. Brid, your reaction to the outcome of that court case yesterday?
Well, I think it stands in stark contrast to the sentence that was passed down to the banker last week, which was a serious sentence, whereas this one is just completely light touch. And as Michael Lowry said himself, for him it's a fantastic result. And he seems to be bemoaning the fact that he has now come to the end of years and years of being vilified and hounded and persecuted by the Irish state. And the judge said he's such a good politician, he's a great representative for his people. I mean, it's unbelievable. If I went in and to the shop and robbed a load of food or clothes or anything else, I wouldn't get this sort of light touch, there you are, good woman, off you pop.
Well, he wasn't accused of robbing anything, though, was he? Sorry, he wasn't convicted of robbing anything.
Well, he was convicted of defrauding the tax system, which is robbing the state, which is robbing the people.
He was convicted of delivering an incorrect corporation tax return and failing to keep a proper set of company accounts. And the judge, Martin Nolan, referred to him as a conscientious taxpayer.
He did indeed, yeah. And this is when Martin Nolan talked about a few years ago. He put his hand in his pocket to pay the state back 1-point-something million in tax. I mean, what sort of language is that? Putting your hand in your pocket is usually an act of generosity. He owed the tax to the Irish people and he was caught not paying it. So there's nothing wonderful or great about this man. And actually, he swans in and out of the Dáil very, very seldom. I'm on the Climate Change Committee, the Communications and Climate Change Committee, as is he. And the only time I've ever seen him in the room in the 2.5 years is when we were discussing Dennis O'Brien's independent news and media merger. The only time I've ever seen him, and you very, very seldom see him in the Dáil, and yet he picks up a handsome salary for being a TD. Now, the people of Tipperary have elected him, and his first word to them was, I want to thank my people, I want to get back to my people. Mm-hmm. It's Charlie Haughey-esque language that he uses in relation to his own position.
Well, they are the people
who
elected him, in fairness.
Well, I wouldn't call the people who elect me my people. I don't own them.
Okay.
I think it's that sort of archaic squire-like language that makes one think, I'm great because I'm elected.
Okay.
He's elected to do a job and he is a disgrace. And it had the Moriarty Tribunal, and this point is made very well in the Irish Times today, had the Moriarty Tribunal known about this payment, which was at the heart of the trial...
it would probably still be sitting.
It would probably still be sitting, or it
help us all.
With much more evidence that would they would have been very interested in it, and he said that himself at the time. Okay.
Nonetheless, the judge did find him to be a conscientious taxpayer. Do you accept that that's the judge's take on it?
I disagree with the judge on this. I don't think there's anything conscientious about somebody who has owed the Irish tax state 1-point-something billion and had to be and had to be chased down for it. Conscientious taxpayers, the likes of you and me, who get it taken out of our salary every week, and it is up to date, and it is according to our...
That said, then, Bríd, do you what do you make of the fact that the government? The government would say they do not have a deal with him, but he has voted in the main for the government. Is that an issue as far as you're concerned?
I think the whole question of positions of politicians being compromised with what they do outside of the Parliament is a serious one and needs to be looked at. And we've been skirting around it for years when we talk about reforming the way politics does business. But we have vested interests of landlords, of business people, of barristers, of all sorts of professions who continue to carry on being the professionals and the business interests that they are while they are politicians. And I don't think that that's good enough anymore. I think there has to be a separation and a clear
so once you become a TD,
divestment
you give up
of the interest in the outside world once you're in Parliament.
People would say, well, then no one with those interests would ever get involved in politics.
Well, they may not, but I doubt that that's true. I think that when they get involved in those politics, they do so because they want to represent the interests of those kind of people.
I have to put it to you, and I don't particularly want to single out